What may seem like a little brush with the law during college welcome week could lead to major long term problems like losing scholarships, difficulty finding a job, and yes, that criminal record. Welcome to Expert Connections. I'm Julie Holton. Every year, police report hundreds of citations near universities during the first week of college, Welcome Week, mostly alcohol related. And that's not the only trouble students may face. For a deeper look at what they and their parents should know, we turn to Dan Zick, a litigation attorney at Foster Swift. Dan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Julie.
Yeah, this is really an exciting time for students, but what some might consider traditional college fun actually could come with long-term consequences. Let's talk Welcome Week. What are your concerns?
Well, there's always a lot of excitement around Welcome Week, especially for the incoming freshmen. For many young students, this is their first taste of a real adulthood. And with that comes the excitement of being out of their parents' home and the freedom to make their own decisions and make their own choices. But with that newfound freedom, there can be consequences. Certainly, a lot of college students incoming are already the age of 18. You're treated as an adult. And part of being treated as an adult is your decisions are going to have consequences that are going to carry on throughout your life.
A national survey shows nearly 53% of full-time college students ages 18 to 22 drank alcohol in the last month. And I notice, of course, 18 to 22, we're including people younger than 21. So let's start there. What are the legal ramifications of underage drinking?
Well, underage drinking, of course, can result in criminal charges. You can be charged with minor in possession if you're caught with alcohol, or if you're caught intoxicated under the age of 21, it's still a charge of minor in possession. They call it minor in possession by consumption. So there can be criminal consequences associated with just either possessing or drinking alcohol when under the age of 21.
There could be pitfalls even if a student is 21. What should we know about driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs?
Well, the first thing to know, Julie, is it should be avoided at all costs. And there are many resources available for college students to avoid drinking and driving. Rideshare apps like Lyft or Uber are available in most college towns. Those should be utilized anytime any student of any age is drinking. Simply put, never get up behind the wheel when you've been drinking or when you've consumed drugs. However, that's sadly not the case. Statistics show that 30% of college students actually admit to having driven while intoxicated while in college, and approximately 50% of college students admit that they've ridden with somebody who was either under the influence of drugs or alcohol while in college. Drinking and driving can result in criminal charges ranging from misdemeanor charges for a simple first-time offense to felony charges if there's property damage or personal injury that's involved, or if a student has multiple prior charges for drinking and driving. So there's a wide variety of criminal charges that can come with that depending on the severity. And the other thing to keep in mind is that students who are under the age of 21 are not subject to the same 0.08 threshold that 21-year-olds are. There's zero tolerance for students under the age of 21, which means if you're caught drinking and driving, even if you've only had one drink, you can be charged with impaired driving. So it's simply something that should be avoided at all costs. The legal ramifications are not worth it.
Okay, I want to talk also about drugs. For instance, marijuana. We know it's legal for recreational use in Michigan for adults. So what are some of the drug-related issues that you see for college students?
Well, the first thing you mentioned is for adults. And although legally we tend to describe adult as 18 or older, marijuana, like alcohol, requires that somebody be 21 or older in the state of Michigan to legally consume it. The other thing, just like alcohol, is you cannot operate a vehicle while under the influence of marijuana. So it's the same charges are going to apply as if you were drunk driving. The other thing that students need to keep in mind is that although marijuana is legal in Michigan, there are limitations on that. There are requirements that it be used in a private place. It cannot be used in public. Again, cannot be used by somebody who's under the age of 21. And there may also be, in addition to these, criminal repercussions, housing, for example, landlords can limit the use of marijuana on their premises, and in employment, employers can require that their employees that are subject to drug testing not use marijuana. So those things need to be kept in mind as well for those students that are going to use it.
Dan, along those lines, talking about housing, talking about future job searches, you've shared that students can face even more problems than the legal ramifications related to drug and alcohol and other charges. What are some other consequences, perhaps academic or university type consequences?
Well, drug or alcohol charges and criminal charges in general can exclude students from certain forms of financial aid. Certain criminal charges can exclude students from eligibility for the federal Pell Grant program. Certain scholarship opportunities can be contingent on students maintaining good conduct while they are in school. So those opportunities can have serious consequences and be seriously jeopardized if students don't exercise good judgment.
What kinds of conversations should parents be having with their college age kids? I know, again, so much excitement with back to school and a lot of conversations are happening, but what should parents really be focusing on with this?
Well, thankfully with my kids, I'm a long way off with this, but if I were a parent and my kid were going off to college, I would emphasize have fun, be safe, and be smart. These are going to be some of the best experiences of your life. There's a lot of new opportunities and exciting things that you're going to get to experience in college, but you don't want to make a mistake in a momentary lapse of judgment that's going to follow you the rest of your life. So keep in mind, you're out of the house now, you're going to be treated like an adult, and there are consequences that come for adults that don't exercise good judgment.
All right. So should the unfortunate happen and a student get into trouble, Dan, what's the next step? What should, mom and dad or guardian or the student do next?
The next step would be to contact an attorney who's specialized and knowledgeable in that field. Consequences can be severe in certain cases, but they can be mitigated, and students can be eligible for certain programs to help divert them into a better path and help minimize the long-term consequences of their decisions.
Dan, there is a lot that young students may not know about how their actions now can impact long-term future financial career opportunities. In fact, many adults in the workforce may not fully understand the long-term ramifications and often fall victim to these pitfalls. We have a separate interview with you, Dan, on that. You can click the link now to jump over to that interview and be sure to subscribe so that you can see all of our Expert Connections interviews. Dan, thank you so much for your insights today.
Thanks so much for having me, Julie.
Absolutely. Parents, if you want to learn more, you can head to fosterswift.com for additional resources and information. We've created a link for you on our website, expertconnections.tv. We've also created a video you can share directly with your kids, straight from our legal connections expert, Dan Zick. Dan, thanks again. We'll see you over in our next video.